was born, Guilford County, way back. There I love sweetest memory.
Have we done for now, Dad?
In Daddy won't.
Over the last couple of years, we've been experimenting with the mixed media technique and have had a lot of questions about it. And I'd talk a little bit about this today and use this painting, which we call Lung Iron, as an example. First of all, it's 3 foot by 4 foot and it's on plywood. And the substrate, more often than not, we use canvas, stretched canvas, but in this case, experimenting with a sheet of Luan plywood and a frame built out of pine stock around it. The nice thing about it is it's sturdy, really can't hurt the thing, and it's kind of built ready for framing. But anyhow, the mixed media came a direction I wanted to go just to get away from the standard watercolors. So I always kind of specialized in watercolors, watercolor and paper. But wanted to try something different, and also when working large watercolors under glass pose problems in transportation and shipping, and so we thought let's see if we could do something using watercolor media, but in a little more durable format. So this particular painting, the theme came because of a golf course scene, and the scene isn't really relevant to the technique. Very often these paintings grow on their own. You start out just with a substrate and putting color on it, and the subject comes later. But in this case, we had an idea. First step in putting this together is you got to prep whatever. The preparation is the same whether it's wood or canvas, and that preparation is coating it with gesso, and not putting it on with a brush, but putting it on with something like a drywall knife, or very often use credit cards or putty knives. What it does is it leaves ridges and bumps in it, which give it a texture that you normally wouldn't get with a watercolor. After it's been gessoed and it has a good technique, what I like to do is put primer on it. In the case of this painting, I probably started running background color over the whole thing, some yellows and a little bit of red. Let it run off. Always squirting it with water, spraying water on it all the time to keep everything liquid and moving, which gives you backgrounds that are, I don't know how you duplicate them otherwise. But after the texture and getting some base colors, I probably haven't even selected a subject yet. I kind of let these things grow. But what I find is the universal thing is to put on a horizon line. If I change anything with this painting, I'd move the horizon down a little bit, but it is what it is. It still works. But I typically like to either choose a very high horizon or a very low horizon, and I'll sketch that in with a piece of charcoal pastel, something that'll dissolve when I put water on it. Once I have the horizon line established, I'll begin pouring color. In this case, probably start pouring from that side. Elevate that side to the not elevate too much, to the height of a 2x4. That makes the plane. The water runs down. I'll suggest a line of color along here and spray it. I pour more color on and spray it. I'll get water running down in a rather narrow band, as you can see about where the band was. Again, what happens with the color in the water, it's hard to say. I just let it go and then work with the result, and that way the spontaneity is greater. It's always a surprise for me, and it keeps it interesting. Now, in this case, we select the subject matter of a golf course. What I find in most of these paintings, not in most of these paintings, all paintings that I do, the subject matter is really irrelevant. The whole appeal is on design and color and shapes and that kind of thing. And they happen, if it happens to be a golf scene, it does. If it happens to be a sailing scene, good. If it happens to be a still life, it's the same, or landscape. I'd pour the color on, get the horizon established, get multiple colors, and let it dry. Following the watercolor, I come in and I'll put more shapes in with pastel. And what I like about using pastel is, and a good high quality pastel stick works best. You spray that and it just explodes, and you hold your shape, but it'll get irregular and something again that you just couldn't duplicate with a brush. Following that, if I need some harder shapes, I might take an acrylic and put that over top of it or alongside of it. In this case, I just used pastels. Suggested a couple golfers over there is tick the little flag in the middle, and I said that's enough for subject matter on this. But putting the pastel, the acrylics, it gives you a chance to put in some contrasting color too. If you need a surprise, you can do that. If you need a black, you can put a black in. Need something bright, you can do that. And then after it's all dry, the way you preserve it is to polyurethane it. One of the tricks I found a long time ago was, like, if you try to put polyurethane on with a brush, it'll pull the color because they're water soluble. And I like to use water soluble poly because it doesn't put a tint of any color on it. So what I do is spray it first, fix it with a spray of poly. Once that's dry, then you can just paint it on. And are they durable? Yeah, I think you could probably roller skate on this, but and they're easy to ship and easy to store. And give it a try. If you have questions, any questions at all, if it spurs a discussion, give me a call. Let me know what your questions are, and I'd be glad to discuss with you.